Hey folks, it is the October the 9th, and we're going over another portion of chapter 14. Just as a reminder, I'm going to post, or I might just say at the end of the video, what our test next week is going to be over. I'm going to post that test on Thursday, so make sure you study your notes for that, which of course is posted here. You get the videos, you got your book. It's going to be over that material.
Who's all on there?
Somebody. It doesn't say
No,
that.
really.
No, it doesn't say the names. It's you two.
Go fill up my water bottle.
Yeah, go ahead.
It should say the name, because I got it.
That's on YouTube.
It doesn't show for me unless they make a comment. Okay, I got to type in the chat box. Hey, and so yeah, don't forget, no lecture on Monday because it's Columbus Day. We're gonna have the day off, and test Thursday. That's about it.
Thank you, Columbus.
All right, so.
Wait, when are we on that? Oh, yeah.
The what? Oh, is that siege?
Yeah, let's see.
Wait, this guy? Bro, hang on. Hang on, like,
What happened?
to
To the fire?
What happened?
What happened?
Oh my God.
A storm wind.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. We'll get there in a minute.
Is that what we're like talking about?
In a moment, yep. Yeah, not too many points out of this, but we want to get it.
Those two?
I wrote on the wrong one. You did that.
Really, it's just 3 points that we're gonna get down today.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't work. No, that doesn't work. No, it doesn't. Add more pressure. I want something where it can be like that. It goes away. It's the sound of a lump.
But everybody else.
I mean, I drink more Coke because that's the only thing my mom really good. So I don't like it.
Wait, yeah. We are famous. We just get Dr. Pepper 10. That's what we know.
Ooh, isn't that the diet?
Yeah.
Nasty.
All right,
I'm
folks.
just kind of used to it.
Hey, so it sounds like you already kind of began.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you just a couple more minutes. So we have the 3 following terms. We have the siege at Plataea. What happened to them is in the people of Plataea.
Bacteria?
And yeah, Specteria. So
What the heck? It sounds like bacteria.
it does. It does.
Good.
Oh, hello. Hey, folks.
Look for
Who
lunch.
is getting lunch today?
Chicken strips, veggies, cornbread. Yes, they're, it's in the big way.
See you lunch.
Pila?
Is everyone B?
No, hey, lunch.
If you're, hey, let's do it this way. If you're B lunch and you want it, raise your hand. So there's 3 B lunches.
Okay.
Now put your hand down. If you're A lunch and you want it, raise your hand. And there's 2 A lunches.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Wait, Tristan, did you want lunch?
He does. He asked for it. He asked for it. All right. Let's see here.
Like that guy.
Hello.
Yeah, why you got not stars.
Okay, is it? Yeah, I know. You can't see what the trash can is unless you do like this.
He looked up the same way.
I'm like,
No, he did
actually,
that.
do it one day.
But everybody's anything like give your paint. Dang, I got murdered now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
That
That
sucks.
was
Horrible.
terrible.
do you remember the one like that was good?
I mean, this is
Much
white
better.
paper.
Much better.
This is like a really, really important paper. Don't throw my proof away, Brian.
That's true. Yes.
Ah! What was that? I made it that time. No, that's not my notes. Here. Yeah, I thought I was gonna miss.
All right, folks, are y'all actually discussing the terms that are on the board, or y'all talking about everything else that has to go on the line?
Everything else.
Everything else has to go on the line. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end the timer there then.
The voices.
The voices, well, I'm
We
sorry.
take too many notes in here.
Uh,
We do.
We don't.
it's because it's a history class.
Look, I'm a journal.
No,
Hey, Trent. That, you should be out of your chair without your mask, sir. So, you see, like, I'm here with space, so, and I'm talking to a group, so I'm not wearing it. But when you're coming up, you gotta wear the mask, all right? All right, so, all right, I only have one image for today. This is, we're gonna talk about a separate Demosthenes later. This is one who's gonna be a general of this attack on the Spartans. And so, last time you remember, we ended off, we were talking about the siege of Plataea. And in that siege, we saw the Spartans were attacking these people. They had good walls. And so the Spartans were trying to figure out, wow, how do we overcome these walls? So what do?
Make a ladder.
They make another wall first, and they're trying to make a mound. And so if they can build it up enough, they can just walk over their wall, right? And use their
That's what made the mountain.
Yeah, and they're going to. But if you remember, the Plataeans are pretty smart because they're sneaking out at night, taking away parts of theirs. They're also building their wall up higher. And then when the Spartans catch on and try to like make their wall differently out of different material, the Plataeans, they dig tunnels. And like that's a very normal thing in siegecraft. You're going to see that like later on in other wars, you'll have tunnelers, essentially called sappers. And once you have once you have gunpowder come in, they're going to start packing in bombs and stuff underneath walls to try to blow them up. And then you'll have counter sappers who are trying to dig tunnels to catch the other tunnel. And so you'll have tunnels trying to find each other so they can kill each other.
They have 3 walls out of 1, 2, 3.
The Spartans are going to build 2 walls. That's one. They're going to build 2 outer walls. And in between 2 of those walls is where they're going to have their setup, where their workers and their soldiers are going to sleep and protect themselves. The Spartans are going to try to use flaming arrows and pitch and stuff like that to throw in the cities. But they're going to set up like curtains. Yeah, curtains of like animal skins to try to block it off. And so this is just, it's a measure, countermeasure. So they're constantly parrying the offenses of the Spartans.
They're just blowing them. I feel like they're just messing with them.
Well, that's what a siege is. A siege is when you surround somebody, you try to get in, and usually it can last for months or even years sometimes. But the Plataeans are going to eventually run out of food. And that's when you're going to have a lot of them sneak out one night on a very frozen winter night. And the Spartans won't be able to catch them. But the ones who stick behind, we're going to see the Spartans aren't very nice to. Spectaria, this is a different battle. This is going to be when you have the Athenian navy sail very close to the Spartans' homeland in Peloponnnesia. And they're going to build a fort. And when they build the fort, the Spartans are going to try to take it, but the Spartans are essentially going to get shipwrecked. They're going to get stuck there. And when they get stuck there, they're going to beg the Athenians to let their guys go. But we're going to see that Athens is going to make some mistakes after that. We're going to talk about that next week. So,
What mistakes did I make? Can you give us some?
you can
He
read.
just said he's gonna say it next week.
You can read the rest of your chapter later, and you can like find out. Like it's like, it's like tune in next week.
I don't want to read it.
You can read it anyway. It's not wrong, you know. All right. So
Why is it called the Spartan Nightmare?
Because they were doing really bad.
this which one? Spectaria. Yeah, it's because a lot of their guys are going to be shipped right there and start starving to death, and they're kind of just stuck out there like for days and weeks on end, like no shelter, like waves crashing on them and stuff like. We'll see later. So yeah, for the Spartans who are there, it's not too good for them. So, but let's go back up here. The siege of Plataea. So who did we say was attacking the city?
Sparta.
Yeah. So
There's only like two people who could be Sparta or Athens.
pretty much. Now, your book is correct to point out that there were other cities having battles. There were cities fighting themselves. This was a civil war where it was split between who people thought should be in charge, Sparta or Athens. And so this was a really messy thing. It wasn't necessarily like the American Civil War, which was split geographically. You got the North and you got the South, and it's generally like that. This was like pockets all over the place. People didn't know who to trust, so it was pretty problematic. So attacked by Sparta, and so what did the Spartans do to try to get in?
They tried to build a wall over their wall.
Yeah,
And they made the Plataeans pay for it.
Like Catalina?
Wrong wall.
That's kind of funny though. That's different.
He didn't even build that much wall, actually.
walls
He only rebuilt some walls.
with a mound, and this mound is supposed to be the we're going to see later on that Alexander the Great, and especially the Romans, are going to be really good at this, where they're like, oh, you got a big wall. Well, we're just going to make a mound, a ramp out of dirt, so our soldiers can basically walk on top of your wall and get you. And so they do this, of course, by having like portable, what they call palisades, like walls of like wood that they just kind of move up to block the arrows. And then once they build up a little bit, they move it up again. And that way they can overcome archers. A lot of guys still die building them because, they have like.
Why not just use a ladder?
Well, ladders are useful, and they do use ladders. But the problem is with ladders is that you lose a lot of your ground troops. Because when those guys are trying to get up the ladder, it's easy pickings. It's really easy to like shoot somebody or stab somebody or push the ladder over or dump like burning stuff on them, or boulders and all kinds of stuff. So like you lose a lot of troops. The Ottomans are going to be pretty good at doing that.
They threw
But that's
boulders on
because, like getting ladders to get people over, that's because they didn't care about their soldiers and they had so many of them. They would just flood thousands of them until enough of them finally made it over. But yeah, by the time they were done, there was just like piles of dead people along the walls. So if you don't care about your troops, you can do
Strategy.
and resources, your will to fight, your care of losses. Yeah. So Sparta built walls with mound, and the Plataeans, how they counter it? Like, what did they do?
It's my dirt.
They stole their materials.
Yeah, stole.
If anything, the Spartans stole the dirt in the first place.
Ooh, property rights. There we go. Yeah, because they're like, hey, that's our land anyways.
We're still in our dirt back.
I don't like spelling Plataean.
That sounds
Oh,
like,
me too. I'm just like,
Mr. Wagner.
Yeah.
That sounds like a kid having like a lot of candy and someone comes and takes one piece.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, you can see it like almost like they're just taking from the competition. But it's smart. It's smart because the Spartans are there for weeks and weeks on end, even months, and they're building this thing up.
Did
Like,
they dig a tunnel under the mound?
They did. So
So it was like directly under it?
yeah. So like here,
So what if it collapsed and literally just crushed them?
then at least they would have saved their city. So this would be like the Plataeans' wall, and then The Spartans built two walls. They built one here. They built another one in front of it. And the whole idea is they're going to build another one right next to that and go forward. But the Plataeans, yeah, they like had a tunnel that went underneath.
Why didn't they tunnel?
Well, the thing is, when you make a tunnel, you just don't dig a hole in the dirt. You got to do things like set up beams and stuff like that to make sure it doesn't fall on you, kind of like a ceiling and stuff.
That's what they did under the board.
So I don't know. The Spartans probably just didn't think about it. But yeah, so the Plataeans could put like a tunnel all the way here and come out.
Or
Start
use
making
that
stuff.
same
This
tunnel.
was pretty much the max of this Spartan thinking capacity.
I would think so, and a lot of it was probably their allies being like, "Hey, knucklehead,
What?
look,
If you're me,
you see
We
that
just
wall
went-
over there? You do it too." And yeah, so the Plataeans had their own wall, but the Spartans' whole objective was to make a mound of earth, eventually rise, and so they could just have their dudes kind of come up here,
but then they won by just letting everyone else starve to death.
starving to
They
death.
didn't even use their
Did he
original
jump
plan.
off the wall?
They were just like, oh, hey, they're starving.
tall
Want to
was the
surrender.
wall?
Let's just murder them.
I'm not sure. It had been. It was at least taller than the houses and buildings because you want it taller than your buildings so that you couldn't easily get like arrows and stuff like that over it and start killing people. But yeah, the Spartans wanted to make theirs tall enough to where they could have their friends who are archers to shoot down into the city. And
So it was
eventually-
obviously pretty
eventually-
tall. Didn't you
It
say
must have
people
been.
would die too?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's obviously pretty tall. Thanks, how
So-
would you make a mountain all the way up there? That must have took a while.
It could. I mean, like I said, the Romans are really good at it. So I don't know. Like that's one of the ways that they're going to defeat the Jewish revolt after the time of Jesus. You're going to have Jewish people who are going to try to rebel against Romans, and yeah, the Romans are just going
They're gonna
to.
get shut down.
The Romans are just going to totally slaughter them and like terribly and so then you're going to have things where you're going to have Jewish people actually choose to like put down their own families rather than get sold to the Romans because they know if they get taken by the Romans, the
They've
guys
got
are going to get killed and the girls are probably going to be put in brothels and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like a place to make prostitutes work.
They would cut all your tendons.
So like nobody wants that for their kids and make them grow up in a different religion that was against their beliefs, all kinds of things, right? So, all right, so still other dark things. So what happened? What did most of the Plataeans do?
Die,
No, what did?
starved to death.
starve, then
Yeah,
die.
so the city was starving, so many of them.
The ones started.
So many of them, one cold winter night.
But was starving?
Yeah, they were starving. So most. They what?
It says he was starving.
The was starving.
Ah!
They was starving.
The city was starving.
They were. Thanks, catching that. All right, so they were starving. So most of them.
Yeah.
mm,
Went out to go get food.
one cold winter night.
Snuck out.
Snuck out. Yeah. So most of them snuck out.
And then the ones who got left behind or didn't go
That's right.
probably just about died.
So most of them snuck out and fled to Athens. Those who were,
Those who remained were dealt with by the Spartans.
yeah, weak to run. Were put on trial, right?
When the only question was,
Feels like every
were you
person
good to
they want
Sparta?
go back to Athens.
No.
They're giving you
Yeah.
from these cities.
And so this was a trial made for you to lose on purpose. And
And then
so
how would that be a fair trial? They're like, it's a fair trial.
It's not meant to
It
be. That's
wasn't,
the whole
but-
point of it.
you got to remember Spartans, they're like, hey, they're two things. They're super superstitious for their Spartan stuff. They're also very legalistic. They follow their law. So they're like, hey, we did it legally. We were just seeing if they were our friends or not, or if it was the rules of war. So Sparta
Choose the other one for no reason.
slew the men. and enslaved everyone else. So yeah, so if you remember, this isn't very different from Athens. So we're seeing what were supposed to be, in their own way, like the pinnacles of their civilization. But in a civil war, all the rules were off. They were cruel, very cruel. And I'm telling you, this is why civil wars are bad. You see this in civil wars throughout the world. People are extremely cruel.
Doesn't they slow?
Slew, as
Slew, that's a word.
That's it.
I knew it.
Yeah, like slave, but
Like
slew.
slaughter.
Yeah.
Why is it blue?
So like, so not too friendly. All right, so our last one for today, Spectaria.
Bacteria.
So what did the Athenians do here?
I don't know, I don't think they got that one.
All right, so it's an island. Where's the island near?
It's only 46 or 47 miles away from like Athens or Sparta.
Yeah, near Sparta. So this is close to Sparta. This could be a place that could endanger them. What does Athens do there?
Build a fort.
Yeah, they built a fort there, and the Spartans were like, "Please, what are you doing?" But so, what did Sparta do?
Try to destroy the mound, but they ended up getting attacked.
Build a fort.
Yeah, so the Spartans attacked, but were what? Did they win or lose? Yeah, well, they were defeated and stranded, so they're stuck. And these little islands, they're like rocky islands with constant waves crashing against it, and it's just rocks. There's no form of food. The water is so dangerous. If they jump in to try to like get away or get fish, most of them will drown. And so they're like stuck. They're like, oh man, how we got there? The boats are gone, they're captured or shipwrecked, and they're like begging, please help out. And so that's where we're going to pick up next time. We're going to see, so we're going to pick back up with Spectaria, and we're going to just see how nice or mean the Athenians are to the Spartans, and we're going to see what the Spartans try to do in response. And we're going to see that Athens has a golden opportunity in their grasp, and they're going to let it go because Cleon is going to be like, hey, let's do
Let's
this.
be stupid. Yeah.
Instead of seeing peace.
Crossing
Well,
horrible.
All right, we're going to end our all right, so a little bit, I'm going to tell you a little bit what's going to be on our test. Our test is not going to have the Peloponnesian War stuff on it. That's for your next test. We're still going over this war. So why on earth would I include this war in it? So here, let me get my book and let me outline where we're going to go over. So
Because it's important.
So I can tell you this. One thing I'm going to have an option for is going to be over Heracles, or you could call it the Golden Age of Athens. Remember, you only pick two. Let's be essay based because that's what we do. All right. So another is going to be over the Persian Wars. And I'm going to give you just three options this time. Third option, I'm thinking about making it about a person. It's probably just going to be about, I'm kind of thinking about it. Yeah. Oh, we didn't go over that much over Leonidas, just a little bit. And the third one is over, yes, the man, Themistocles.
Called it.
Here's the thing, right? Like, each one of these things ties to the other. So if you study just one of these very well, that you would be able to do really great on one and okay on another essay. So these are the three areas you're going to get to pick two. I will give you a nice review on Thursday. You'll have a little assignment to do Wednesday. We'll do the test on Thursday. So Tuesday's review, Wednesday's little assignment, Thursday's test. Wednesday, we'll probably finish this chapter. It'll be short. So, all right. So I'll take a picture of this and post it on the Google Classroom. See you later, kids. Have a good weekend.
Only those
No,
three
well,
colors.